everyone, and welcome to Love Chat with the Love Twins. It's so great to be with you here today as we're talking about dating in the fast lane. Because here's what we know. I actually was introduced to somebody recently and was talking, she was telling somebody that she would like to be in a relationship. They were at a business networking event and, excuse me, and started talking, and she was talking about how she's got to be focused right now more on her job and her career, the business that she's trying to build on the side, and she really didn't have for love. And right away, my friend, a dear friend of mine, said, I know exactly who you can talk to because you don't have to have one or the other. And so she made the introduction, and sure enough, the young lady expressed the same thing to me. There's things are difficult at my job. I've got to make sure I secure income. I've got to focus on this business. Maybe in 3 months, maybe in 4 months. And look, I am not telling anybody to live under a bridge. I'm not telling anyone to not create income. I'm not telling you to give up on a single bit of your dreams, your career dreams, your love dreams, your personal goals, your financial goals. You really do get to have it all. And it is impossible to create everything that you want when you're approaching life with an either this or that. I can either focus on my career and my business, or I can focus on love. I've got to do this first, and then I can do the other. I know that that's the way our brain logically, rationally says, well, of course she's got to create income, right? I'm not saying no, but when you are trying to create more income, let's just talk money terms right now. When you're trying to create more salary, more income, more clients, higher pay, a promotion, and in your mind, you're saying, but I have to do this or that, even if it sounds 100% rational and logical, it is a scarcity conversation. So you're actually sending one message, which is, I want to make more, but then you're sending another message that I can't receive all of it. I can only have this or that. And because the way energy works, the way the universe works, right? It doesn't understand either this piece or that piece. It just says, oh, can't handle it, can't receive it, can't have all of it. And so I believe that the universe is always providing, but we're blocking it. We're stopping it. We're not allowing ourselves to receive, which is a big part of what we're going to be talking about today. Receive what is already ours, what we can already claim, not because we're entitled, but because we're worthy and deserving of it. Right? So today, when we're talking about dating in the fast lane, it's about looking at how can a busy woman effortlessly attract, effortlessly, not meaning that you sit there like a lump saying, well, if God really wanted me to be in a relationship, he would send me someone. Like God's your, personal FedEx delivery person, or like there isn't in every single biblical miracle an act of faith that took place before the person received the miracle, right? So we're going to talk, I'm not going to make it a sermon, but I'm just going to say, yes, God provides. Yes, the universe is always on your side. Yes, there's always more than enough money, happiness, love, wealth, health than you could even begin to imagine. And it takes some work, and it doesn't have to be hard work. It doesn't have to be grind, push, force kind of work. Okay, so that's what we're talking about today. So if you're out there, because I don't see like, hi Gladys, oh my God, that's me, or yes, I want to learn this, go ahead and drop something in the chat or in the comments, depending on what platform you are joining us on, so that I know that you're there. And number two, I know that this is a worthy conversation. Thank you, Judith. Hi, hello, and welcome. Right? Because if you're not a busy woman, if you're just sitting there with a fan, waiting for the next thing to pop on your plate, this talk isn't for you. This love chat isn't for you. I'm telling you. If you've got, there's just like nothing happening in your life, and come see, come saw, right? When it comes to love or anything else, this probably isn't your topic. If you're a highly driven woman, an accomplished woman, a woman who has goals, personal goals, financial goals, career goals, I'm talking to you, specifically to you. All right, so let's go ahead. Let me just take a sip, because this time of the day, there's so much pollen. It's just, yeah. All right, so when we are talking about being a busy woman who also truly wants to open her heart to receive the love that she envisions in her mind, to receive the love that her heart most desires. If it when you're that kind of woman, the first thing that you want to look at is, okay, is there and if you're that kind of woman and it hasn't been happening, you haven't been creating that result, or it's taking a little longer, it feels a little harder than you think it should, then the first question that you want to ask yourself, not from a place of blame but just from a place of curiosity, is there anything that I could be doing to block this? Is there anything that I might be energetically, unknowingly, subconsciously? Most of the time it's not because you say, hey, I want to sabotage my life, I want to make my life really, really hard and not experience any of the happiness, love, joy, prosperity that I want. That's not what you're saying. At least I hope it's not, because then you're probably 100% manifesting it. But if you've been experiencing fear, or like you get close and then it doesn't happen, or you keep attracting the wrong men, then you just want to ask yourself, could there be something that unconsciously and energetically I'm doing that could be creating a block, that if I were to identify what that is, then I could truly unlock the love that my heart desires? And when you ask yourself that question, it's got to be from a place, again, of no blame and no judgment. It just can't. Because if you're blaming and you're judging, your brain is automatically going to do another thing that it subconsciously does, which is protect you. So it won't let you see. It won't let you see what it is that you're being curious about. So when we're talking about, could there be something that I'm doing? It is not to, I'm at fault. It's, oh, wait, if I'm doing this, then I could learn what to do differently, do that, and start creating completely different results. Right? So the first thing, excuse me, that I want to talk about is what to do if your calendar is full, but your heart isn't fulfilled, right? So the calendar is full, you got a lot of busy things happening, but your heart's desires aren't being fulfilled. So first I want to tell you, I already said this, but I know some people came on a little bit later, that being thriving and succeeding professionally doesn't mean that you have to compromise when it comes to love. You don't have to compromise emotionally. You don't have to compromise on that dream, because you are worthy and deserving of both the success that you want in your career and the love that your heart desires. Okay. So ask yourself this question. And I'm going to ask you, and I would love to see in the chat or in the comments, whichever platform you're on, what your answer is. What if having it all means having a relationship where your ambition isn't a burden, but it's a bonus? What if having it all means having a relationship, a loving romantic relationship, where your ambition isn't a burden, but it's a bonus? It actually moves you forward. It actually accelerates, magnifies, amplifies your results. When you hear that, what do you hear for yourself? What do you hear for yourself when you hear, wow, what if my ambition, my drive that helps me to create so much in my career could actually be a bonus for me, right? What do you hear for yourself? And, I see a comment here about scammers. If you're only attracting scammers, we have to talk. And I'll tell you how you can do that, because there are women who aren't. And again, this isn't fault, but we've got to figure out, what is it having that kind of man attracted to me and me attracted to him? Because if there's some, look, I literally show them to my husband. We sit there, we crack up. All these guys, oh, you're so beautiful. I've been watching your profile for such a long time. I was wondering if you would do me the kindness of, the first thing you see on my profile is that I'm married. The first thing you see on any part of my life is that I'm married, very, very happily married with children. I don't pay attention to it. I don't give it energy, and it falls away. But if you're dating and you're really having the experience that all of these scammers are attracted to you, they keep reaching out to you, I really want us to talk, because I don't want you to experience that one more time. I don't want you to have somebody present themselves as somebody that they're not, and you have your heart broken. That's part of what Michelle and I do. That's why we do the work that we do. That's why we make so much of what we do free and accessible, because there isn't any reason for any woman on this planet to not have the love that her heart desires. So we're in this conversation for possibility. I'm not dismissing that there are things that are happening out there that don't work. If you want to have and be in a conversation for what does, you are in the right place, right? We help our clients distinguish right away. And I'm going to talk to you in just a few minutes about what are some of those things that will help you to identify when a man is not who he says he is, when he's not authentic. And even if he was 100% authentic and true, if he's not the right match for you, you don't want to waste time. Busy women don't have time to waste. It's one of our most precious, it's not even a commodity. It is one of our most precious assets is our time, right? So let's be in a conversation for possibility here. And if you've never had an opportunity to speak to one of our love breakthrough coaches and you are attracting scammers and you're attracting men who absolutely aren't a match for you, there's two things that you can do. One, if you've never, ever, listen, please, because some of you try to get the second and the third and the 15th call. If you've never had a conversation with a love breakthrough coach, you can go ahead and schedule a call with a coach now. We'll go ahead and we'll put that link in the chat so that you can have a conversation with someone who's going to listen to what you're sharing and give you the steps for breaking that pattern once and for all. Because you do not have to have heartbreak be part of your love equation, okay? The other thing that you can do, that I'm going to get into really giving you some, not just tips, tricks, and bells and whistles, but real actionable steps to take, is join us for our next challenge, which is happening at the end of this month. You want to absolutely positively be part of the Unlock the Love You Desire challenge. It is a free 3-day challenge. It's 4 days for those of you who value yourself enough to upgrade to VIP for a crazy low price, because we're going to have a VIP only day where we're going to give additional coaching and training that doesn't fit in the 3 days, right? I just said busy women don't have a lot of time. So we've made the challenge 3 days and 4 days for VIPs. It's the Unlock the Love You Desire challenge. I'm going to be talking specifically about the things that you've been hearing us talk about in the last few love chats, is how to be successful, how to be a high value woman who is highly driven and also gets to be deeply loved, cherished, adored, valued for the woman that she is, not necessarily what she does. Okay, because a lot of us have been taught that how you have to prove yourself, you have to earn love, you have to earn what you deserve. No, like all of that grind and struggle and hard and pain, it's just not what we're committed to. And so since we're not committed to it, we're not going to teach you that stuff, right? So it does not have to be hard at all. Okay, so we're going to talk about how to shift from being over functioning in love to really receiving love that meets you where you are, where you don't have to compromise your standards or shrink yourself. So let's get started. First of all, when you're having the conversation of first I have to do this and then I can focus on love, or first I got to get, this in order, and then I'll have time or energy, space in my life to focus on love. I want you to know that making space for love, it isn't about adding another task to your already ever increasing, ever long to-do list, right? This is about aligning your life with the kind of partnership that actually elevates everything that you've built and everything that you're building in your life. So making space for love isn't about trying to squeeze one more thing onto your calendar. It isn't about trying to squeeze love, partnership, connection, intimacy into a schedule. If you're already relating to love like that, it's going to be very difficult for you to attract the kind of love that you want, because it will always seem like because busy women, successful women, driven women are always up to something big. So when in your life is there going to be a time that you're not going to be committed to your greatness, that you're not going to be committed to your growth, that you're not going to be committed to moving forward? If you're waiting for that time, then there just isn't, you haven't made the space in your life. You haven't aligned your life. I'm not talking about balance. Balance is BS. It doesn't exist. It doesn't. Because there's always going to be things shifting on your priority list. What you want to do is align your life so that it's all working together. It's working in harmony. Okay? So when you're creating space emotionally and energetically, that's when things start to work. So that's why in Heart's Desire, we talk about releasing the love barriers, the fears, the limiting beliefs, like I have to do this before I do that, like dysfunctional patterns of attracting emotionally unavailable men or staying in relationships longer than you need to because you already know this isn't the right fit, right? It's not about that. It's about breaking your love barriers, breaking through them, all of those love barriers that keep you stuck in masculine energy or proving energy or forcing energy, and step into your feminine energy of receiving. Okay. So when you create that space emotionally and energetically and on your calendar, right, you're expanding what you're able to receive. What you do is you signal to God and the universe, and yes, to men who are aligned with your values, that you're available for a meaningful connection, not a just for now fling, not a until something better comes along situation, not another checkbox to accomplish, but when you shift from striving to allowing to receiving, then you open the door to a relationship where your power and your softness can coexist and where you can thrive in every area of your life that's important to you. Okay, so I'm going to say that again. When you energetically, you create the space energetically, right? Because energy is real, and emotionally, and on your calendar, meaning you're making time and space for love on a daily basis, then what you do is you send out an energetic signal that says, I am available for meaningful love, not for waste my time, not for just for now, not for it's a situationship where at least I get my loneliness filled, but has none of the other things that I want in a forever relationship. No, when you shift to that allowing and that receiving, you actually create the space for your power and your softness to coexist, for you to thrive in every area of your life. So I'm looking over here. Let me see. So some of you were saying, yeah, that what you heard for yourself when I said, what if your drive, right? Your ambition is actually a bonus and not a burden. And somebody said, having a man who's really there for me and me for him naturally. That's what I want. That's what you can create. Okay. And Barbara's saying, my power and my softness coexist. Absolutely. Because powerful women, one of the things that scares them is, am I going to have to dim my power? Am I going to have to like dumb down, be a damsel in distress for a man to come for me? Or am I going to have to settle for less than what I really want? No, power and your softness, your vulnerability, your authenticity, they get to coexist because you have to be authentic in order to attract a man who's honest. If you're hiding parts of yourself or you're pretending to be something so that he will like you, then he can't fall in love with you. Number one, because the real you is not there. And number two, because there is already a pretense present in the I'm not going to say relationship, but I'm just going to say in the interaction, right? Because it's not a relationship until it is. And then it's already not aligned with your value of honesty, with your value of authenticity, right? So it's already like lopsided from the start. All right. The second thing, and just remember, write this down. You're not too busy for love. I am not too busy for love. I am simply creating space in my life for it. Okay. You get to create the space. It is unfair to think that you're not going to put any effort. And there's a difference between committed action and struggle, right? We want to take committed actions that are aligned with the commitment that we have to have real love. Okay. But you're not too busy for love. If you're too busy for love now, there's never going to be space in your life for it. I'm telling you, because it is not a thing that you kind of like pick it up and put it here and then pick it up and take it away. Imagine what would the last 26 years with my husband have been like? I would never have time for him. I'm always up to something. I've got 4 businesses going on right now, right? Imagine if I told him, I'm sorry, I don't have time for you this year. What would our marriage look like? Not good. Okay. So second thing, you don't want to fall into the efficiency trap, right? Love does not run on deadlines. I know that we use the word now a lot in our work, like ready for love now. I'm ready for love now. Create the love that you want now. Because, but it's not a thing like a deadline timeline thing. It's because we're speaking into the part of your brain that keeps saying, after I do this, once I have that handled, once I've done all of the inner work that there is to do, that's going to be the day you die. That'll be the last day that you do your inner work. Okay, so don't put that. Inner work is not, it's also not a grind or a struggle. It's just me releasing what doesn't serve me so that I can allow and receive what does. I release so I can receive. I release so I can, that's all heart work is. It is not hard work. It is heart work. Okay. So when we're high performers, when we're highly driven women, we've been taught, right? We've been taught that you have to work hard, right? You got to work fast. You got to get it done. And so it's tempting to think that working on your inner work and working to create real love is like that force, grind, get it done, get it done. That energy is repelling when it comes to love. It serves you greatly in your career or in your personal goals. It doesn't when it comes to love, where what you're doing is you're wanting to attract someone to you, create space to receive them, and then create something together, right? So you don't have to be in that energy, because real love, true love, forever love is what I call it. That, let me just move this over here. That actually thrives on presence, being present. It thrives on patience, right? You are creating a life with a completely different individual, completely different from you, even if you agree on a lot of things. So there's got to be patience and acceptance, and there's got to be emotional attunement, where our emotions are in tune with one another, our vision is attuned, our values are attuned. You cannot do that in rush, rush, rush energy. That is what actually happens. What creates when people are rushing into relationships. You're rushing into a relationship, you're not taking the time to really get to know the person, and then you wonder why it doesn't work out. Well, it doesn't work out because you didn't take the time. You didn't invest the time. Now, does it have to take long? Well, if you're attracting the right person, no. It doesn't have to take a whole lot of time. But you do get to be present, because if you want somebody who values you, prioritizes you, and spends time with you, and you're not even taking the time to be present, A, with yourself, and B, with another person, then you're expecting someone to do for you and with you something that you're unwilling to do, right? So it's all about being, right? May or may not have time to talk about that as much as I want to today, but don't worry, we're going to be talking about this at the Unlock Your Love Challenge. So make sure that you are that I'm pretty sure we dropped the link. Whenever I say it, it should be, yeah, it was dropped, right? So the Unlock Your Love Challenge, right? Unlock the love you desire challenge. We're going to be talking about how do you do that? How do you take a key and unlock whatever's been blocked and stopping you and sabotaging you, so you can receive the love that you want, right? In the heart work that we teach, when we teach you to release your love barriers, one of the things that you start to see is that that softness that I was talking about, your vulnerability, your mesmerizing parts of you, the softer parts of you, they actually are what attracts the right man. So it's not a sign of weakness. It's not a sign of that you can't handle. And let me change that. Your authenticity, your vulnerability, your ability to connect with somebody emotionally is not a sign of weakness. There's actually power in that. And what it also does is it creates a space where the other person can also be free to be who they are, right? To be vulnerable and open with you. So now you're creating a real connection, emotional connection with a person. And that doesn't take effort, but it does take presence. It does take patience, and it takes that attunement. Okay. And when in the heart work, what we teach you is to not be afraid to be vulnerable, so that you can start to see that your vulnerability is just as alluring as your drive, as your ambition, right? So you don't have to give up one for the other. You can still have both. Okay. Now, I will say that and you've heard us say many, many times, some of you are new here, and welcome if you are. We hold on a second. This isn't, There we go. It wasn't letting me see the new comments. So if you're new to our work, one of the things we want you to know is that you can be a confident woman, and being confident doesn't mean you have to have it all together, and it doesn't mean that you don't ever make any mistakes, and it doesn't mean that you have to be in control, as in controlling the man, because that'll actually repel him faster than anything else that you could do, conscious or subconscious. But when we're talking about confident, one of the things is a confident woman trusts the process. So if you're in a process, for example, if you're working with us, you're in a process of learning how to drop the shield, right? Drop your guard, how to start recognizing when a man is dateable or when he's being authentic and when he's not, so that you're not attracting scammers. When you're confident, you trust yourself and you trust the process. So one of the biggest shifts that we guide women through is letting go of that rush to make something happen with someone instead of learning to trust your intuition. All right, and naturally, and allow what's happening to naturally unfold, for the connection to naturally grow deeper, and for you to really be getting all of the information that you want and need to see if this is a person that you want to create the rest of your life with. Because when you trust, when you have confidence and trust in your intuition, that actually helps you to discern, to be able to tell whether a connection is worth exploring or not, without needing like a 5-point plan or a PowerPoint presentation or a rapid fire outcome. Like, you don't have to rush into it in order to see, oh, I just want to make this work. I feel so connected. I've never felt like this with a person before. And then you rush into a relationship and you haven't given yourself the time to really get to know that person, right? So when you trust yourself, when you're confident in yourself and you trust that inner guidance, that's what lets you move intentionally instead of reactively. Right? You're moving intentionally instead of reactively. So you're making room for a connection that's real, not rushed. Because when it's real, it doesn't have to be rushed. Okay. And then what starts to happen is you start to embody what's called emotional safety, which means you feel safe within your own emotions, right? What you're feeling, what you're thinking, what you're experiencing. You start inside of that safety, you start to feel more and more clear, this is or it isn't, right? And then you stop falling into that trap of rushing, and you start attracting men who lead with what? With presence, not pressure. With presence. He's present. There's no pressure to rush into anything. Okay? So that right there, somebody says, the rush gets in my way. I know that, again, we're dealing with the logical brain that's up here, and then we're dealing with the subconscious brain. The logical brain says the faster I go, the faster it'll be a relationship, the faster I'll be in a relationship, and the faster I'll get married. But if you're in that rush, you're basically bypassing your, like, my son was in a race this weekend and I was taking pictures. And in a bunch of the pictures, his car is crystal clear and everything behind him is a blur. And that's how some of you are being in relationships or in dating. You're like rushing, everything is a blur. And then you say, but I didn't see the signs. I didn't see the red flags. I believed him. I took him at his word. Look, I'm not saying be a skeptical, suspicious, cynical woman. I'm not saying that. But I am saying if you trust yourself, you start to create that inner guidance, that intuition, and you start to trust that, then it makes it a lot easier to tell who you can trust and who you can't outside of yourself. And so you won't feel the need to rush, because you're going to be able to see very quickly who is and who isn't a match. Now, the ones who aren't, don't spend time, energy, and attention there. The ones who are a match, or at least at the beginning, feel like a true match because you're taking your time to connect with presence and power, not pressure, then you can see, who is it that I want to keep getting to know? Okay. And that also has you be able to tell ahead of time whether someone's emotionally available. So we help women detect, identify, right? See, be aware of emotional availability early so you can stop wasting your energy on men who are only attracted to your body or to what you have or what you do, but they're not really invested in getting to know the woman, who you are as a woman. Okay. And what starts to happen is when you start to create this shift, now we've got an alignment, an emotional attunement. I am in tune with myself. I'm trusting my intuition, my inner guidance. Now I can stop performing, because why dating feels exhausting for a lot of women is because it's you're treating it like a job, and then you're on a date and you're treating it like an interview, like a job interview for him and for you. And then you're exhausted when you get home and all you did was have coffee. Right? So why am I so exhausted? Is because you're in this performance mode that again works 100% at work, and it doesn't serve you very much when it comes to love. Okay, so I want everybody to write this down, right? And I'll have Diane put it in the chat as well. But you want to write this down because there is something that happens in your brain. I don't have time to go into the science of it. When you are physically writing something, that actually helps you not only to remember it, but it helps you to embody it. So here's what I want to say. Attraction is easy. Connection is intentional. Attraction is easy. That's a function of body hormones squirting, right? Memories. He reminds you of somebody. Attraction is easy. Connection is intentional. So at the Unlock the Love You Desire Challenge, we're going to help you recognize the difference between attraction and connection. And it does begin with you trusting yourself to know the difference between the two. Okay, so you're going to, whether it's at the challenge, and obviously those of you who choose to work with us, you start to notice that authentic connection, it's not something that you can rush into. It's not fast, it's not flashy, right? It's grounded, it's safe and affirming. That's what I mean by intentional. And you do deserve to experience that kind of love, because real connection happens when you feel safe enough to be seen without the mask, and to be honored inside of that vulnerability, and knowing who you can trust enough to be yourself with. That takes intentionality as well. Okay, so you can stop rushing and you can start receiving, so that you can trust the timing of real love. Okay, there's no need to rush, but you do want to receive so you can have the real love that your heart desires. Okay, and then I just want to, I'm at time, but I do want to say a couple more things. Okay, when you're anchored in your worth, and you've stopped this need to prove yourself, or to feel like you earn, that you have to earn or do stuff to earn love, you start to see that you are lovable, that you truly are love, and we call it love able to love and be loved. And the right partner, when you attract that right man into your life, he doesn't need you to have it all figured out. He is actually drawn to the real you, not the perfectly curated, version of you. So the more you trust this inner yes, the more you trust this inner guidance, you're going to trust your inner yes and your sacred no. You're going to trust yourself to say, yes, this is worthy of my time, my energy, my attention, my love, my affection. Or no, this isn't. It's just not aligned. And as much as I would like this person to be it, he's not. And you save yourself a lot of time and heartbreak when you do that. So when you trust your inner yes and your sacred no, the more you do that, the faster you filter out what doesn't serve you. And when you filter out what doesn't serve you, then what does naturally flows in. There's room for it. There's energetic space for it. You're ready for it. Okay. So that's why when you do the heart work, you learn to distinguish between fear and that true inner guidance. That's how you stop second guessing yourself. That's how you start trusting your instincts. You start choosing partners from a place of groundedness, self-worth, and deservingness versus I've got to rush into this. And when you're grounded in that self-worth, that's when you trust the timing of your life, right? Because this was about love in the fast lane. You trust the timing in your life, and you become magnetic, not because of what you do, but because of who you are being. That's what gives you the inner confidence and the freedom to enjoy the process of dating, the journey of dating, without rushing, without blocking it out because you think you have too much going on in your life. Right? One of the deepest shifts that we guide women through, that I absolutely love, through the heart work, is the understanding that real love is not something that you have to perform for, that you have to earn, that you have to get through effort, through proving, through perfecting. It really comes from being fully seen, being fully seen and fully received in your truth. And so when you learn how to stop leaning on what I do, right? This is what I can do. I can give and give and give and do and do and do, improve, 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 and perform and perform and perform. When you drop that and you just learn, this is who I am. This is the kind of love that I want and deserve. And I am willing to be and become the woman who can easily attract it to me versus me chasing or pulling after it. Then you start to feel that ease, that confidence, that self trust that makes dating much more fun, where it won't feel like something that I have to put into my calendar, because the reason you relate to it like that is because you haven't been getting the results that you want until now, until you learn how to do that. And one of the best ways to learn how to do that is in a 3-day challenge. So again, I'm going to invite you to come to the Unlock the Love You Desire challenge. You're going to learn how to stop attracting relationships where you feel like you have to tone down your brilliance, tone down your power. You can shine as brightly as you want to, and know that you don't have to prove anything in order for somebody to love you, to choose you. In fact, you're not even waiting to be chosen. You become the chooser. You're also going to learn how to release the hidden beliefs that are blocking, stopping, and sabotaging love, that you're too much of something, not enough of something else, and step into the beingness that will actually make attracting love super easy. And then stepping into that full feminine magnetism, like step into it fully, embodying that feminine magnetism where love and safety and attraction flow to you, not because you're doing more, but because of who you are authentically being. Okay, this entire challenge is about helping you remove the blocks that are stopping you from attracting love, the doubts and limiting beliefs that make you think that you can't have it, or it's too late, or if it was going to happen, it would have happened by now, right? And you can drop the guard, right? Drop the wall that's between you and the man who's already looking for you. You can drop that guard and replace it with confidence and clarity, and that freedom to attract a high quality, heart connected, commitment minded man who also wants to create the kind of love that you do. Because a man who's right for you, the man who's the perfect match for you, he will be attracted to you because of who you are, your brilliance, your power, your drive. None of that is going to repel him. In fact, it's going to inspire him. He sees it as a gift, not a threat. And he's going to be the one who's going to cherish the parts of you that no one else took the time to really understand and love and adore. Okay. So make sure that you join us for the Unlock the Love You Desire challenge. Think about everything that we talked about today. If there's something that you've been doing and it just hasn't been working for you, think about, have I been relating to love as something that's hard, as something that I've got to do in order to create it? Have I been rushing? Have I been sabotaging myself with my approach to love? And if I were to come to this challenge and learn what to do instead, how much more quickly, not because I'm rushing and forcing, but because it's just happening so much more naturally, so much more easily, can I be in the love that my heart desires? All right. So that is today's love chat. And remember, that you are already worthy and deserving of the love that you want. All we're going to do, for those of you who come to the challenge and those of you who choose to work with us, all we're doing is making the process much faster, much easier, and much more rewarding, because you'll be in the loving relationships that you want a lot faster and a heck of a lot easier than if you're just trying to figure things out or you keep making the mistakes that you've made until now. Okay. So we are here for you. Again, if you've never ever had a love breakthrough session with one of our coaches, please make sure that you click on that link so that you can have a conversation, a real conversation with someone who's not only listening to what you're telling them about what you want when it comes to love and what's been getting in the way until now, but will actually give you real and actionable steps that you can start taking today so you can be in the in the loving relationship that you want, and so that you can start breaking down some of those love barriers so you can start attracting the love that you want into your life. All right. Have a beautiful rest of your day or evening, wherever in the world you are. And until our hearts meet again, always remember that you are loved. Bye for now.